I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, September the 16th, brought to you in part by Noromycin by Norbrook. Noromycin 300 LA is your go-to antibiotic for a broad spectrum of cattle diseases and infections. It's a must-have in your vet shack, your pickup, or your saddlebag. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Future is quality, and what I'm getting at, I'll explain that. But talking with some cattle feeders on Wednesday there, and they kept going on about trying to sell some cash cattle and talking about your majors and even your regionals. This week it seems like, well, they'd buy one load here, or maybe 100 head there, or a few here, a few there, just kind of spotting around. Let each buyer buy just a handful of cattle, and they could do that. So they were having a hard time getting any cattle moved, having a hard time getting in because nobody needed anything. Why do we feed them if nobody needs them? Well, I tell you what you have to do to get around that, and we're finding that out, and a lot of you guys are finding that out too, but we've got to make something that your big corporates don't do. What is that? That's some really top quality stuff. That's the only thing they'll really push for anymore. So the only guys that can make any money is guys that can get some really top quality, high genetic cattle bought, overfeed them, make them obese, which is not very efficient, where they really reach those high grades and grade half prime or better, which back whenever I learned what the quality grades were with USDA, prime was a fluke of nature. Now people are disappointed if they don't get a third primes. How did that start happen? About the same time that we started getting instrument grading on there. And the packers own those cameras. It's not USDA, people. But anyway, so if you've got something that they really don't have. So your big corporate feeders, you don't see them stretching out buying the really expensive top quality cattle and feeding them to inefficient weights and grades, and because they're just feeding the regular cattle. So you got those. The only guys that you can pick around if you're going to try to sell cash is the guys that's got the really top stuff or the really junk that you can buy 50, 60, 70, 80 a buck back. I'm talking about jerseys and Corianis and crap, just coon shit. You can feed that kind of stuff, and whenever you get ready to sell it, you can find a cow killer or somebody like that is more than happy to give you 20 or 30 back of the market because they can go in there and pluck some things that they can sell in there. At these major packers, I tell you what, and even your regionals for a certain extent, your procurement people in there, they get an order from the top, and it's for beef. Not for head counts of cattle. It's for beef. We've got to produce or process this much of this quality of beef, this much of that, and they really need that top quality stuff. And so that's what they've got to kind of go after. So if you think you're going to get them to be enticed to come to your feedlot and look at your cattle, you're not going to be able to have just some Okie type cattle out there, or some 1.5 crossbreds from the southeast. The corporate feed yards are plumb full of those kind of cattle. That's the kind of cattle they got, and they got worlds of them, and so they don't really need your cattle, so they're going to skip around them. But if you got some all black, high genetic type cattle that are going to marble really well, they're going to be pretty tender in there, and you can get the guys to know that. They've got some third-party verification where they can get into some different programs, and you've maintained those through the feeding process. Now you're talking. Now the guys will start coming to you with hat in hand and start coming to you like that. That they've been trying to get you guys to go through that for quite a while now, because they just, if you've got average type cattle, it's just damn hard to get them sold. And the best you can mostly do is just turn them in on some type of a grid. and they might want to call it negotiated grid, but how much negotiation is going on if you can't turn that down? If you can't turn the bid down, that's not a negotiation. That's just to take it or leave it. That's not negotiation. So that's what you're going to get on the average type cattle. But if you've got some of those really toppy cattle, you can find a packer that will come to you and look for those. And why is that? Well, in the last couple of years, through this COVID and the slowdowns and things like that, your packers have found out that they can exploit the consumer. They're finding out. We weren't really sure how much consumers would pay for beef. And of course, the guys that's got the money, they're going to want the best cuts, and they're going to want the best grades and the best quality and all that. So they've learned just how much that they can exploit the consumer on that, and they're absolutely going to do it. And so you've got to find a way to go in there and take advantage of that. Until we get some kind of a minimum negotiated cash deal done, and we know now how they're going to get around that. They're going to turn sales in as negotiated grid when there was no negotiation there. It was the cattle feeder begged for a slot. They offered them a grid deal, and they took it. That is not negotiation if you can't turn it down. But that's the way they're going to get around that. And I don't see anybody at PNS, USDA, anywhere that would investigate that's smart enough or got balls enough to call them out on it and get it done. So that's kind of where we're at on that. And I hate to see it, guys, because growing up, we straightened up southeastern type calves, sold them in the southern plains. Whenever I started background in cattle of my own, I liked the second cut, and I liked buying singles and making bunches out of them. In northwest Missouri, they were still pretty good cattle, but most places you can't get away with that. But I don't see why you need to blow your brains out on cattle when they've got 4 legs, a tail, and 4 stomachs, and they chew their cud. There's not that much difference in them, but now that these packers have figured out how they can exploit the consumer, maybe you do need to run out there, spend $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 on a bull, get some stick out type, top quality kind of cattle that you can feed out, like I said, overfeed inefficiently, and get some of those really top grades on them, and then you can get packers to come to you. But that's a realization of what things are coming to, guys. Let's look at your board on Wednesday. October live cattle up a nickel at 124.17. So we were down big on Monday. We rebounded on Tuesday, and we kind of come back to just kind of a steady weak market on Wednesday. But these your October live cattle ended the day at 124.17. December was down 20 cents at 129.45. Your back months on your live cattle down a dime to down $1.35. Feeder cattle for September down 55 cents at 154.72. We feel like that's a victory, just down 55. But see, September's trying to jostle around and get right in line with your cash index. So there's not going to be a lot of play in there, just trying to kind of backing into a parking space there. But October down 165, still seeing some pretty good losses there as we go out front. 156.50. And you go on your back months, and they were down just 2 cents, which was the August contract. The last one was traded a whole year away, to down as much as $2.15 here, more closer nearby. So not very good at all on your feeder cattle. Again, we're just losing ground like crazy. I sure hope that you guys, got in there and hedged your cattle, because it doesn't look like we're going to get anything going. Your techies, your brokers and guys like that watch that, they're all about the open interest and how much trade is going on, and they're measuring that. It doesn't matter whether it's in the cattle futures or in your grains. Your corn, which December new crop is now the spot. So even though it's out in December, that's the next one up, and that's what your harvested grain right now is going to come on. But your corn up 13 1/4 on Wednesday at 533.5. You know, the crop production there, they rated it down 1% on your latest you know, crop report there. And then we continue to see problems getting stuff exported through the river, through the Mississippi River, because first we had that Ida storm, and then now we've got this Nicholas tropical storm that's just causing all kinds of troubles. And that is a major outlet for all your grains, guys, is sending them on one of those barges down to Mississippi and then out through the Gulf of Mexico to get out to our export markets. Your fat cattle trade, we did see some trade. We've established a market this week. It's not that bad. It's actually could be called steady to a buck higher in the Southern Plains, which you know that's feeling like a victory after we started out Sunday night or Monday morning with a fire in Grand Island, Nebraska. But your Northern Plains is about steady on live, a pinch lower on the dressed, and the Southern Plains is back up a buck with a lot more 124 this week. But what's really happening is the gap between the Northern Plains and the Southern Plains is closing. There's not much of a premium, if at all, in the Northern Plains now. You look at Iowa, they sold 3,400 head confirmed on Wednesday, 6,100 head for the week. Live sales 123 to 126, dress sales from 196 to $2. Nebraska, 13,100 head. They've only sold 13,200 head for the week, but live sales there 123 to 125 and $2, 196 to $2 dressed. Well, remember those prices, because in Kansas on 5,900 head, and that's the first they've sold this week, same price range on live steers and heifers, 123 to 125, mostly 123 to 124, and fairly evenly split there. Just a few dress sales up in the northern part of Kansas there at $2 dressed. Now Texas, 3,400 head sold on Wednesday, 3,700 head confirmed for the week, and they're 123 to mostly 124. It was just a few weeks ago that Texas was a stepchild, and I mean they were just looking and glancing way up at what their cattle were bringing up in the Northern Plains. Now they're bringing the same price. You look at an auction, Lanesboro, Minnesota, where I was at last week. You know, I met Joe Nelson there that has Lanesboro, Minnesota, and Decorah, Iowa. Really nice guy. I tell you what, I like meeting. There's nice people everywhere, but he was just a really nice guy, and I enjoyed meeting him. And he was just very generous with his time, even though he was having a big sale there, and showed me all around. And I tell you what, like to deal with people like that. But at Lanesboro, at their fat sale on Wednesday, they sold their colored cattle, or the beef cattle, from 123.75 to 128. So still a little bit of premium there at an auction in competitive bidding there. Box beef cutout values on Wednesday were down really hard, especially on the select, and you know, we're beating up the Packers. Of course, they're losing their margin. I mean, they've got a lot of it to work on. We can whittle on that all winter long, and they'll still have plenty to get by on, but it is going down pretty fast. But choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon, 319.82 down 307, selects down 673 at 283.89. Your slaughter so far for the week up through Wednesday, 355,000. Can't compare it with last week's holiday week, but a year ago, 360,000, so down 5,000. What else is going on? Let's talk about livestock risk services. You know, I've been talking about these livestock risk policies that you can get. A lot of times they're government subsidized, and it's safer, easier to understand, and just makes a little bit more sense than taking a short position on your futures to make a hedge. You can basically lock in your price. Don't have to worry about margin calls or anything like those. But get a hold of them at Livestock Risk Services here. You can see how the contact information on them. They got an office there in the Exchange Building at Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards there. And get a hold of them and lock one of those in, because that is the deal right now. Everybody's pushing to get those. They can give you a list and kind of tell you what you can lock in. and you better get it done before this thing completely fades away on you. What else is going on? Talked to them from Stockman's Livestock in Dickinson, North Dakota. They've got a really good sale coming up here on Thursday. They've got a lot of drought out cattle there. You guys are going to like the condition on them. A lot of these 5-weight new crop calves coming in. They're not quite as small as those out in western South Dakota, but a lot of 5-weights that looked on the consignment list to me, and then a lot of big yearlings coming off dry pasture there. So that would be a good sale to get on, is Stockman's in Dickinson, North Dakota, right here today on Thursday. Going back on the road here, I'll be flying out, heading out to Nevada. Going to be helping them auctioneers the sale at Nevada Livestock Marketing in Fallon, Nevada. Going to be broadcast on DV Auction there on Friday. They've moved their specials, their monthly feeder specials, to Friday because of the shakeup of the sales out in California. And so that's really going to work better for a lot of us to have those sales on Friday now. But expecting, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 head in Fallon, Nevada, and kind of the same deal. They'll have some drought out yearlings there coming off grass, maybe like 500 head of yearlings, and then a lot of those new crop calves coming in. And I don't know what percentage of those are going to be weaned. Probably not a lot, but they've probably been getting powdered milk, as dry as it is out there in Fallon, Nevada, and they've had the fires and all that. Then after I get done there, over the weekend, going to be going up to Madras, Oregon, and Trent Stewart's sale up there in Central Oregon. And they've got Customer Appreciation Day on Monday. They've got like 3,000 head of cattle up there at Central Oregon Livestock. And looking forward to going up there. I think the king of the auctioneers, Ralph Wade's going to be there. And then I'm actually going to help sell a little bit too, I guess. And I'll be looking like a mule at a horse show. And so that's going to be a bad deal. But going to be giving a presentation out there before the sale in Madras, Oregon. So if you guys are around that area, come out to the Customer Appreciation Day. They've got a free meal, and they're going to have me come in and talk to you. And then I'll get up there and do some selling. They got Ralph Wade, I guess, if he can make it up. And then, of course, Trent Stewart. We're another world champion. But looking forward to that trip up there this weekend and the start of next week. Let's talk about your feeder cattle sales on Wednesday. Your real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Wednesday at 152.76, actually up 40 cents. That's the first day we've been up here for the last couple of weeks on our index, our real-time index, and that's based on an 800-pound steer up through the middle 12 states. How about your big sales on Wednesday? OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 7,200 head there. Compared to last week, feeder steers fully steady. Feeder heifers were $2 to $6 lower, but they did note that they had a lot of plainer end on them there, so that's going to hack on them pretty good. But sure lower on the heifers. We saw that in some other sales. Calves were not well tested, but had a lower undertone there in El Reno. Winter livestock, Dodge City, Kansas, 2,000 head there. Feeder steers were mostly steady, and there you see it again. Feeder heifers, $4 to $7 lower. So guys were hacking on the heifers pretty hard there. Look at some other sales all around the circuit. My friend Ashley Nolan there at Texoma Livestock Exchange, he had a good sale on Wednesday, and he is really poking and building a fire under that sale there. He had 4 big loads of steers weighing 830 to 900 pounds, bring from 150, which was a 900-pound load, to 155.10, which was the 830-pound load. Guys aren't used to getting those kind of prices in western no man's land, panhandle of Oklahoma, but that was a really good sale for them. How about Decorah Sales Commission in Decorah, Iowa? They had a big Customer Appreciation Day too, had a big feeder sale there. Talk about Holstein steers, and I can sell them up there. 110 head, 855-pound steins at 118. How about Bloomfield Livestock Market? Roman Schooley there. I've been up there and done a talk up there, met those guys, awfully good people up there, and they have a good market. Bloomfield Livestock, Bloomfield, Iowa, 95 head, 471-pound steers, bring 221. That's about the highest we've seen them weighing that close to 500 pounds. Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, I talk about their fat cattle sale quite a bit. How about their feeder sale on Wednesday? 404 head of steers weighed 805 at 169. But hold the phone, the best quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, your Zactran top quote of the day, come out of Torrington Livestock Markets in Torrington, Wyoming. 146 head, 986 pound steers bring 160.75. Put a pencil to those babies. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.